local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we are not up on Smith Hill. We are not in our usual studio. We are at the Munson. And because we're talking about an exhibit that's about to open here, we're going to be talking with Mary Murray. Mary is the Curator of Modern and Contemporary Art here at the Munson. How long have you been in that? First, I should say welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
How long have you been in this job, Mary?
Since September of 1991.
Okay. And for those who don't know what a curator does, what does a curator do, especially one of contemporary and modern arts?
The curator of a museum, in any museum, a zoo or a botanical garden, as well as an art museum, is responsible for collections. So responsible for collection development by making recommendations for new acquisitions, and also for organizing exhibitions like sporting fashion.
Mm-hmm. That's a good segue to the new exhibit, which is called, in its full title, Sporting Fashions.
Outdoor Girls, 1800 to 1960.
So give us an overview of what that exhibit's like.
It's a remarkable collection from the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, organized by Kevin Jones, who's the curator there. And it includes 65 ensembles made up of more than 400, almost 500 pieces of clothing and accessories that documents the arc of women's activities from the early part of the 19th century to the middle of the 20th century. So it includes sportswear for stepping outdoors to uniforms for bowling and baseball and boxing and roller derby. Mm-hmm. So it's a great collection of beautiful gowns that women used to play croquet in the 1860s, and I particularly like the juxtapositions over the decades from a waxed cotton raincoat from the middle of the 19th century to a slickerette from the 1950s.
Yeah. What would be the earliest and what would be the latest that you would have?
Yes, the earliest pieces are from about 1800, and they are clothing that a woman would wear to step out for promenading, walking, and there are all kinds of documentation that Kevin has included about publications that advise women on what they should wear. So for the very earliest pieces, the woman is advised to wear something light colored and always, always a hat and gloves and a high neck so as not to get too much sun.
Kind of hard to compete in sports in that kind of attire, yes?
Yes, but the exhibition gives us a wider understanding of what is considered sporting fashion. So Outdoor Girls includes promenading in a Chanel dress during the Le Mans in Europe, as well as shopping dresses from the middle of the 20th century here in the United States to swimming suits and golf attire and tennis dresses. So it's a wide range of what you might consider quote-unquote sporting fashion.
Right. I know I was looking at the bulletin on the exhibit and I see the name Wilma Rudolph mentioned.
Yes, yes. The exhibition includes a lot of interesting historical information about particularly important women who excelled in their sports. So Wilma Rudolph was, of course, an exemplary track and field Olympian who won several Olympic medals in the 1960 Rome Olympics in the summer of 1960.
And what do you have from Wilma Rudolph?
We have, in her case, we have a text panel. There are several women in focus panels, including Hazel Lee Ying, who was an aviatrix and one of a very few women who was part of the World War II WASP, or Women Aviation Service pilots,
Yeah.
and they were important support for the American Army Air Force.
Mm-hmm. They flew a lot of the airplanes from this country over to Europe.
That's correct.
Yeah. The exhibit starts and ends when?
Sporting Fashion will be on view from Friday, June 23rd through Sunday, September 17th.
Is there a charge?
There will be a charge for people who are not members, but we do encourage you, especially if you live in our region, to become a member, and then it's free admission for children.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You got 2 for 1 here. You know, you become a member and you got the benefits after that, and you also get in to see it for free.
That's correct.
Is it open during museum hours?
Yes, the museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5, and on Sundays from noon to 5. We are closed to the public on Mondays, with one exception this summer during the Arts Festival.
Yeah, and when we come back from this break, I want to ask you a little bit about the Arts Festival as well, and I want to ask you about that painting behind you.
Indeed.
Because I think that's a pretty famous painting. All right. Thanks, everybody. We're talking with Mary Murray. We're talking about the new exhibit down here at the Munson, and we will be right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Mary Murray's our guest. Mary's a curator down here at the Munson, a curator of modern and contemporary art. We're talking about the new exhibit that is on display here. And before we go any farther with that, Mary, I've got to ask you about the painting behind you. I think I know what that painting was done by. I don't know what it is about, but I know what it's. I think I know who it was done by. Jackson Pollock?
Very good.
Yeah.
That's right. Pollock painted this work in 1949, really at the height of his artistic abilities. And if you wanted to talk about what it's about, one thing you could say is that it's about painting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also about expressing exuberance and energy and probably a certain amount of anxiety in the post-World War II United States as well.
Yeah. How do we know about those kinds of things with modern art, Mary? I mean, one person could look at it and get one thing out of it. Somebody else could look at it and get something completely different from it, yes?
That's absolutely true. And the same person on different days or at different times of a person's life will also derive different information and feeling from a work of art.
You were telling me earlier that Pollock died in 1950?
56. He died in a car crash.
What did he have to say, Mary? Have you ever read anything about what his thoughts were on this painting?
Yes, he talked about being almost not exactly in a trance, but becoming, putting his canvas on the ground and becoming in a dance-like mode where the painting flowed out of him in a very natural way. Mm-hmm. And he is interested in emphasizing the gesture of paint as well as the surface of the canvas in a way that is very different from our traditional understanding of painting that would have the illusion of three-dimensional space, for instance, or recognizable subject matter.
Are you a Pollock fan, Mary?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And does the Munson own any more Pollocks?
Yes, we're very fortunate. We have 2 smaller of these so-called drip paintings that were donated by our great patron, Edward Root.
And Edward Root, I believe this area we're sitting right now is named in his honor, yes?
That's correct, the Edward Root Sculpture Court.
Yeah. The Root name has got a lot of history in this area. By the way, thank you for being up at the United County History Center. I saw you over on the phones that night. I don't think I had a chance to say hello. But
My pleasure.
yeah, the Roots have a big presence, especially in Clinton.
Indeed, yes. And we are very fortunate here in Utica that Mr. Root turned his attention to a fledgling arts organization in Utica and began to advise and create our first acquisitions policy. He's a very important patron for helping this museum become the extraordinary collection that it is today.
The exhibit that is opening on the 23rd goes to September what, Mary?
September 17th.
September 17th. I asked you before if there was an admission charge. You said if you're a member, there is not. But if you're not a member and you decide you don't want to join so you can get in free, what would the admission charge be?
Yes, it's $12 for adults, and I believe it's free for children under a certain age. But if you do decide to become a member, there are many perks. The household membership is $85, individual membership is $50, and that will allow a person not only free admission to this exhibition, but also discounts at the museum shop and probably our events in the performing arts program and discounts for classes in our community arts program.
Pretty big campus here, and next door to us, to our south, is really, I just enjoy being over in that building, Fountain Elms. Completely different than this.
That's right. The family, Munson, Williams, and Proctor, generations of extremely enlightened patrons of the arts, lived in that house, the second and third generations of the family, and then left their fortune to endow this organization.
Yeah, I don't expect you to comment on this, but I'm always in my mind thinking, what if the Proctors, Rachel and Mariah, and Tom and Frederick had children? I wonder if this would exist, you know.
We think about that a lot ourselves.
The exhibit would be, how long should somebody, if they want to come down and view it, how long should they set aside, do you think, Mary?
I would say maybe an hour. There's a lot of information to take in, and but you also might enjoy going to the cafe, making a day of it. During the Arts Festival, the exhibition will be on view, and we'll have special programs going on with the show too.
Yeah, let's talk about the art exhibit. It's back this year, and a couple new things, yes?
Yes, we're going to start on a Sunday, Sunday, July 23rd, with the car show. Usually that's the close of the week-long celebration. We'll be adding an extra day. The Arts Festival exhibition will be under a tent, so we'll be able to have it open, rain or shine. And we will conclude on Saturday, July 29th, with a block party on Genesee Street.
Yeah, you're going to close off the street, Mary?
We are, we are. It'll be music and activities. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
The under the tent, all the paintings that were on the sidewalk, so we can't call it the sidewalk art show anymore, I guess.
Well, we could call it the front lawn show.
Yeah. But all of those paintings, pieces of art, will be under a tent.
That's correct. My colleague Ben Garlington and Michael Sample have devised a new way to install the exhibition, which will make it possible to have it all contained and, as I say, away from the weather.
Yeah. How are they going to, if you've got a tent, and I looked at the tent on the way in here, it's open-sided, how are you going to hang paintings, Mary?
I think that that is only a portion of what the tent is going to be. It will be large, and there will be screens under the tent on which the pictures will be installed.
That's always been the sidewalk show or the front lawn show. That's always been, I think, the most popular event at the Munson.
It is. It is. We've been doing it for decades too, Joe. Easily into the 50s, if not the 1940s.
Well, I can remember coming down and walking around in the 50s, so I know it was there then. So,
yes.
Can't go back much further than that. The time of year that this is done, this exhibit that we're focusing on, is it a particular reason for doing it this time of year, Mary?
We like to have a special exhibition in the summertime, something that's a little bit grander than what we produce, something that has a wide popular appeal, but also is educational. You might recall that we did the Norman Rockwell show last summer.
I was there for that, yeah.
Right, and next summer we'll have an exhibition of Hudson River School paintings, so Thomas Cole and the artist who painted our Voyage of Life quartet.
The Thomas Cole, I think that's one of 2 originals in the United States, yes?
That's correct, and ours is the first one, we're very proud to say. Yeah. The second version is at the National Gallery of Art in Washington.
Yeah, and I was down there for that, and there was somebody next to me as I was looking at that, and I said, we've got that up in Utica, New York. I didn't know that we had the first one, though.
That's right.
Okay. When we come back, we'll talk some more about the exhibit. Mary Murray is our guest. We're talking about the new exhibit down at the Munson. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Mary Murray is our guest. She's a curator down here at the Munson, and she's in charge of sporting fashion, outdoor girls 1800 to 1960. I wonder, Mary, why they cut it off at 1960.
I think that that becomes a moment when those kinds of fashion decisions start to change a great deal. If you think about the 1960s, a lot of rules go by the wayside.
Yeah.
So the kinds of outfits we see in this exhibition, you can see connections from an outfit from 1955 back to an outfit from 1915, wearing a duster, for instance, in an open car, as well as wearing a car coat in an open convertible.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite ensemble in this collection, Mary?
There are a few that I might even say I covet.
Yeah. What are a couple of those?
There's
Mary?
a beautiful Claire McCardle dress. She was an important sportswear designer in the 1940s, 50s for American sportswear. And there is what you might call a promenading or a beach lounging outfit from the 1920s that a lady of fashion would wear in the south of France. So the lost generation women.
You know, I was looking at the ladies' professional golf the other day.
Yes.
And what their ensembles were. And I mean, it's just so radical versus how people used to, that is typified by this exhibit. I mean,
there's a golfing outfit from the 1890s, and it looks impossible, but in fact, there were some interesting innovations. For instance, the corsets underneath the outfits would, for summertime, have a lighter kind of netting instead of a solid fabric. And for golfing in the 1890s, one would wear a knit bodice or shirtwaist as opposed to a poplin or other kind of cotton, so it would have some stretch.
It takes more than just admission fees to put on an exhibit like this, and I know you have sponsors for this exhibit.
To whom we are so grateful. This kind of support, if I could just say,
Sure.
is invaluable to what we do, and also it's very gratifying to me to know that our community supports what we do, not only by attending but also financially. Our sponsors include Elizabeth Lemieux, who's a PhD retired English teacher, the family of FX Matt II, Mr. Abraham, Joseph Abraham, Cheryl and Fred Herodotos, and the Honorable Joan Schkane, who is a retired judge.
Yeah. Did you get them all?
I think I did.
Okay,
and
good.
again, let me thank on
Yeah.
behalf of Munson how much we appreciate that kind of support.
You're almost going to say Munson Williams.
I almost did.
I had for many years have had a problem with the United County History Center because I want to call it by its own name.
That's right.
The exhibit would be something that a committee chose or that you chose, or how do you decide who picks these exhibits?
We have an exhibition committee, we do. The museum staff, the professional staff in the museum, as well as some advisors from different committees contribute to how we come to make these decisions. We try to have a variety of programs, Joe. This kind of show is not something that we could put on with our own collection, so we want to be able to show work to our audiences that they wouldn't otherwise see here at Munson. We try to have a variety of materials, historical subjects. So this summer a fashion show, next summer a painting exhibition, and so on.
How far ahead do you plan these things, Mary?
Sometimes 3 and 4 years, because it does take a lot of organization and planning.
When you had the bridal, and I forget the name of that exhibit, but
That's
there were
right.
bridal dresses, and I came down here for that, and I thought to myself, I don't know if this is going to draw. I guess it was an incredible success.
It was hugely popular.
Yeah.
And I think because the weddings are an important personal, they have important historical ramifications, the bridal royals, for instance, as well as the change in fashions over, I think that show had several hundred years of fashions included, so the tastes and how they evolved.
Yeah. The Norman Rockwell exhibit was my favorite in a
Oh, I'm
long
so
time.
glad.
Yeah, that was just a tremendous exhibit. The leanings that you have, where would you like to go in the future with modern and contemporary art exhibits? What have you got in the back of your head?
There are several new media. It would be something I would like to do to introduce our audiences to the different kinds of art-making approaches that artists are using today. Some artists use sound, installation, including video projection, and lights are very important. So I think some of my interests are going toward different media and helping our audiences to understand the expanding field of art making practice.
So it's long past the day and age, Mary, of hanging a painting on a wall, huh?
Well, that will always be with us. Painters love to paint, and they will continue to do so, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah. Give us again, Mary, the dates and the times and whatever anybody needs to know about coming down here.
Please join us for Sporting Fashion Outdoor Girls 1800 to 1960 on view until September 17th here at Munson. The hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sundays, noon to 5, closed on Mondays. And you can find all of this information on our website, www.munson.art.
Yeah, that's changed too now with the new name change,
All
right?
new, yeah.
Well, I'll come down, I'll see you for the outside, I don't know what to call it yet, but the outside exhibition, and that's going to be, what date?
The Arts Festival will be on view July 23rd through July 29th. I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I'll come down. It's always nice to come down for this. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Or thanks for letting me come in, I should say. All right. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget, speaking of web pages, cnyhomepage.com. Till next time, take care of yourself, everybody.